These 5 FPL tips will help you have a more fun and enjoyable time this FPL season, and they might just help you win your mini leagues. Let's take a look. Welcome to the top 5 tips video. Hopefully this video allows you to have a more fun and enjoyable time on FPL this season. Of course, if you're brand new to this channel and you've never seen me before, go ahead and click that subscribe button. I make FPL videos to help you guys at home, and just by clicking that little red button, it helps me out a massive amount. I'm super close to 800 subscribers, so it'd be really cool if I could hit that sometime soon. And of course, massive amounts of pre-season content and game week 1 content coming really soon, because of the fact the game week is less than a week away. Absolutely crazy how fast it's went. But we're here for tip number 1, and I think this is probably the most important tip overall. Play the game your own way. Enjoy the game as much as you can, because that is the whole point of FPL. Now, I've made a little bit of a player spectrum here, and maybe you can place yourself where you think you are in terms of an FPL manager. First off, we have Ghost at the very left-hand side here. This is a player who makes a game week 1 team and just doesn't touch it throughout the season. Just completely disregards it. They might have injured players through the whole season. They might have transferred players who actually went to a different league completely. It's completely fine if you want to play this way. Set and forget teams actually have, in the past, finished very highly in terms of ranking. So if you make it correctly, you might be on for a winner. But yeah, there's no wrong way to play FPL. You know, you might be a part-time player, a player who makes a game week 1 team, makes the casual transfer here and there through the entire Premier League season, taking out injured players, maybe transfer players, and occasionally using a chip. Completely fine way to play. You then go on to sort of a more casual manager. A manager who makes transfers every other week, has an idea of chip strategy and a transfer plan. Completely fine to play like that. You then have an active manager. Active managers are probably you guys watching today's video. You have a good idea of your transfer strategy. You plan your team ahead, which is a tip later in the video. But you also might watch Premier League, Fantasy Premier League content like myself. You might tune into my videos every single week, or someone like Raptor or Let's Talk FPL. You are engaged. You are active. You then go on to your try-hard managers. You have players, managers who sit in front of a screen for hours a day, looking at data, planning your team till 3 a.m. in the morning. You might use algorithms to help you win your mini leagues. I'm partnered with an algorithm this season in Night Managers. They're the best algorithm in FPL, and they currently actually have a 2 free week trial on active if you use code FPL Mogs. It's completely free, and if you activate it right now, you should get Night Manager services for the first 2 game weeks. I think that's quite valuable. The link is in the description if you are interested in using an algorithm this season. Completely free for 2 weeks, and code FPL Moogs will get you 20% off your first build month if you do like their services. But these type of managers across the board, it's completely fine to play any way. You don't have to play a certain way. If anyone tells you, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, don't listen to them. Play your own way. Of course, being more active and engaged will help your rank, but it's more enjoyable to have a fun time on FPL. Don't let people tell you you're playing the wrong way. Enjoy yourself. For me, planning ahead your team in FPL is one of the ways you can put yourself miles ahead of players who don't even consider this. FPL at the end of the day is a strategy game. Maneuvering your team in certain ways to get the maximum amount of points will help your rank and help you beat your friends at the end of the day. That is just how the game works. For example 1, I'll make the screen a little bit bigger to show you guys, but let's say you really wanted to target newly promoted sides. Let's pick Leeds, for example. So Iliman and Dai in my squad here. This is just a random squad, by the way, just to show you, but let's say Iliman Dai, Leeds away, first game of the season. You're really happy with that. But let's say you hadn't planned ahead. In game week 2, you don't have anyone playing Leeds, and you're a bit uncomfortable with that. But if you did plan ahead, you would go, well, actually, who plays Leeds in game week 2? We actually have Arsenal playing Leeds at home in game week 2. So you might be thinking, wow, I really want to actually captain a player against Leeds this game week. You've planned ahead. You can go, well, actually, I can go ahead and get Bukayo Saka this game week. Fantastic. Planning ahead has allowed you to target newly promoted side 2 game weeks in a row, and then you might have a captaincy option to Bukayo Saka for game week 2 who play Leeds at home. great. You've planned ahead. You've then got some advantage over other players who haven't really thought of that method. You also have it where on the bench here we have Evan Nielsen. Now, Evan Nielsen, the first game of the season, has Liverpool away. Do I really want to be starting Evan Nielsen against Liverpool away first game of the season? Probably not. But I've got him in the squad because I've planned ahead and realised that he plays Wolves at home in game week 2, which allows me to bench Thiago then and play Evan Nielsen with a home fixture, which, by the way, Bournemouth are quite good with. So, yeah, planning ahead. There's 2 examples of how planning ahead can help you strategy-wise, getting players that have maybe better fixtures or in better form. But at the end of the day, planning ahead will give you a more clearer, sort of more consistent point basis every single week. And in my opinion, it's probably one of the most important things you can do in FPL. Since we've just talked about planning your team ahead, I kind of briefly want to touch on team structure, specifically price points in your team. Now, for me, I'll use a few examples to kind of try explain this to you. You've got popular players at 7.5 million for forwards. You've got Wissa, João Pedro, Mateta, Chris Wood, Solanke. A lot of those players at 7.5. Let's say you go with Dominic Solanke for game week 1. Turns out he's not quite ready for game week 1. He's still got those few injury issues. You then have the purchasing power of 7.5 million to move to someone like a João Pedro, a Mateta, a Chris Wood. You know, the purchasing power of 7.5 million, that price point is a quite powerful price point to own in FPL. Another example when sort of we're planning ahead, we'll make the screen a little bit bigger so you can see this. Let's say you have £5.5 million midfielder in Elliot Anderson here. You then go, well, game week 4, I want to transfer him out. He plays Arsenal. Maybe he's not getting as many defensive contributions or minutes that you expect Elliot Anderson to get. You then go, well, let's go have a look at what I can deal with in terms of fixtures here. Who has the best? You go Crystal Palace, Sunderland, West Ham. Fantastic. I really want a Crystal Palace asset now, and I really want to get rid of Elliot Anderson. With one free transfer, you go, well, Ismail Assar had really good underlying data last season. Let's try transfer him in. The price point isn't quite matching because your team structure that you've chosen has a £5.5 million midfielder, not quite a popular or flexible price point to go from. So you can't then move to a Ismail Assar in this particular example. So what I'm trying to get at the best I can here is team structure. Having players at certain price point gives you the purchasing power of that price point to move to other popular players at that price point. I've tried a few times to record this section. It is a bit complicated to understand, but having those popular price points will help you maneuver players in and out of your FPL team that are quite popular and will probably be meta for the coming season. It happens every season where you captain the wrong player and your rank just seems to absolutely tank and you really don't understand why. And it's all to do with effective ownership, EO. It's a thing we calculate in FPL where we take the player's ownership for that game week, the captaincy percentage that game week, as well as the triple captaincy percentage that game week, which gives us an overall effective ownership percentage. So let's say for a game week, Mo Salah has 60% ownership and 50% captaincy rate, giving him an effective ownership of 110%. Now, if you didn't captain Mo Salah that game week, you'd actually lose out on rank because Mo Salah's effective ownership is over that 100% marker. Anything over 100% and you don't captain them, you will lose rank in FPL. That's just how it works because other players are captaining him more and owning him more than yourself. You've got another example here of Bruno Fernandes, just another example on how effective ownership is calculated. 15% ownership, 5% captaincy rate, and effective ownership of then 20% effective ownership. Captaincy, if you choose the wrong captain in the game week, it could be absolutely disastrous. But if you get it right, for example in this one, if you go ahead and captain Mo Salah when he gets 20 points in a game week, you will absolutely fly up in rank because you have chose to captain the most effective player that game week. And you won't lose out on effective ownership because of the fact you have 200% of Mo Salah. Hopefully that makes sense. It is a bit of a hard thing to wrap your head around, but just know that effective ownership, if it's over 100% in a game week, you will actually lose rank on a player if you haven't got them captained. The new FPL rules this season will dramatically affect how we play the game, how we plan ahead, our strategies with chips and transfers and everything. It's going to completely change. We're going to play FPL in a different way we've ever played it before. Now, firstly, the AFCON transfers. We're going to get topped up to 5 free transfers around game week 16. So being aware of that will, of course, affect how you plan your team. You know, you're going to have a bit more, lenience and sort of cover when we get to that point of the season, because we know for a fact we're going to get topped up to 5 free transfers at that point. Maybe we can take more risks at that game week. Who knows how the strategy is going to play out, but 5 free transfers at that point, it's definitely worth knowing. Chips, we're going to get more chips than we've ever had before. Bench boost, free hit, triple captain, wildcard, twice a season now. Of course, we already, from last season, we already know that you get 2 wildcards in an FPL season. We're now going to get the same, but with every other chip. That's going to, of course, dramatically affect things, because we're not going to have to keep our triple captain chip for a double game week, for example. I know a lot of players like to play like that. We can actually use it in the first half of the season on a good fixture, and then maybe save the second one in the second half of the fixture when we normally get double game weeks towards the end of the season. You then have defensive contribution points, arguably the biggest change to come to FPL, because it's turned FPL assets that weren't really meta and worth considering into pretty good assets that you might actually want to start FPL with this season. Players like Caicedo, Tarkowski were the top scorers last season in terms of defensive contribution points. A lot of managers actually brought them into their teams for game week 1 because of how good they were last season. If you weren't aware on the changes of sort of the defensive contributions and what that means, basically for defenders, it's CBIT. Clearances, blocks, interceptions, tackles. And for midfielders, it's CBIRT, which is clearances, blocks, interceptions, ball recoveries, and tackles. Defenders need 10 of those. Midfielders and forwards need 12 of those to get the 2 extra points. That is basically how it works in a nutshell. There is data out there available to go see how players performed last season with the defensive contribution points added, which is why I know Caicedo and Tarkowski were quite good last season. In fact, the top scorers and gainers for defensive contribution points. So yeah, overall, being aware of the new rules will definitely help you plan your strategy for this FPL season. You can expect some streams coming your way very shortly. I'm just tinkering ever so slightly with the streaming setup, but hopefully by this evening I'll be up and live answering your FPL questions and just having a chat with my subscribers and viewers. It's always super fun on streams with you guys, but I always outro my videos with a massive thank you to you guys at home for supporting the FPL Mugs YouTube channel. Of course, if you did enjoy today's video, go ahead and click that like button. And if you aren't yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe for future FPL content and deadline streams. But that is absolutely everything for today's video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.